Welcome back to the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast. My name is Steve Smith,
My name's James Lloyd.
and we are both alcohol free performance coaches.
We are
And
indeed.
we are indeed.
I liked your intro there, Steve. It was very smashy and nicey.
Yeah, pop a doodle do, mate.
Gotta be a
Oh, I loved it. I loved Smashy and Nicey.
big fan of the Far Show.
Oh yeah, yeah. Harry Enfield and the Far Show was my youth, was absolute youth. But yeah, how's your week been?
It's been pretty quiet actually because the bloody weather's been so shit, and it's just like, oh, miserable.
Is it me or has it been raining since Christmas Day?
Is it me or is it moist? Yeah, it's very wet. Yeah.
It literally, well, it's not raining out my window right now, but I feel like it has rained every single day since Christmas. We went down to
Yeah.
Cornwall at the weekend with the family just for 3 days, and I quite enjoy this, but I appreciate most people don't. But I went out for a run, and it was biblical rain. I was on the coast path running up from Bude, and it was absolutely biblical and horizontal driving rain coming in off the sea. It was lovely. It makes you feel alive, but my God, I've never seen anything like it. I was absolutely soaked to the skin. But yeah, it was good. But we had a nice weekend going
Is
down
there
there.
something? Is there something wrong with you? I mean,
Yeah, there
what
is.
what
There
on
is.
earth? Who takes pleasure in that? You're a maniac.
Well, I'd spend a lot of money on winter running gear and actually very rarely get to use it properly. And it was, no, you know what? I love it. I do. I do. It's no such thing as crap weather, only crap equipment or whatever it was is the phrase. Probably not that phrase. I just made that up. But it was
You're
yeah.
You are actually right though, because in weather news, it actually has officially rained every day. I think it's for like 40 days or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
And oh my God. And I know people have tuned into this podcast because they want to hear us talk about the weather. Because
Yeah, of course. I saw a
we are
bloke at the end of
British.
my road. There's a bloke called Noah at the end of my road and he was knocking up an arc.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's been. But anyway, in
I
other
can't
news.
wait. I just can't wait for it to warm up. I just want to get out. I just want to get outside. Well, I'm outside anyway, just getting wet, but I can't wait for the spring and the
No,
sun.
I can't either.
I'm counting the days until kind of April. Just get
Yeah,
March done.
yeah,
April, get outside. Oh, I can't
yeah,
wait.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So before we go into today's episode, 'cause it's just me and you today,
It is,
having
yeah.
a chitter chatter, maybe we could have a
I,
little bit of chat about the summer and the spring and yeah, but anyway, before we kind of move on to anything else, I think I'd just yeah, let's talk about the community. The community's going probably about 6 months now. No,
yeah,
must be 6 months.
I reckon it was the
September,
end. Yeah,
October.
yeah, I think it was probably September, October, and it's kind
Yeah.
of gradually grown. And we built some really good friendships with people in the community that, that have been coming kind of, most weeks. It's not like a you got to show up every single week thing. It's just, if you're about on a Monday lunchtime and you want to stop in, say hi. Don't have to stay for the full hour, but just come and meet a few people and just share some of your experiences. And yeah, it's just mainly people who are, I'd say between kind of maybe a month to a year alcohol free who are kind of on that sort of
Or sober curious.
yeah. And we had a few sober curious people as well, and I think when sober curious people come along, it's great because they get some inspiration from people who've been doing it a little bit longer. We just talk about a range of topics. There's well, everything that we speak about on the pod, really, all things about identity and it's socializing and dealing with stress and all these kind of things. And it's really blown me away how much some of the people that we've met actually, and consider some of them friends now. They're really really nice people.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So if you are interested in joining, you just need to pop us the word interested to info at thealcoholfreerevolution.co.uk. That's info at thealcoholfreerevolution.co.uk. And we will pop you out some joining instructions with a Zoom link and you can hop along on a Monday at midday.
Yeah, I think probably the other thing just to sort of emphasize as well to people is we're not trying to sell you anything here. There's no kind of monthly signing up fee or anything like that. It's just a bunch of people getting together to talk about being alcohol free. And it's one thing that we find a lot from from our own experience is that if you are alcohol free, sometimes you're the only one doing it, and it's not necessarily true when you look at the wider population, if you like. A lot of people are going alcohol free, a hell of a lot of people are, but sometimes it might be you're the only one in your social group, and that can be a little bit isolating and kind of feel a bit like I'm the only one doing this. So speaking to other people and being part of a group, and again, like Steve said, definitely not an AA meeting. That's a different thing altogether. This is about regular folk who decided they want to change their relationship with alcohol, getting together and chatting about it, as a common ground. Because one thing I've always found over the 4.5 years I've been alcohol free, when I used to first meet people who are alcohol free, I'd be like, "Oh my God, you get me. You're alcohol free as well. Isn't it great?" And sort of celebrating and all that. And that, of course, that's how we met. And we met, a lot of other people when we were training to be alcohol free performance coaches. And I just remember that time so fondly because I was just meeting so many people and you're just connecting and you just, oh, it's great, brilliant. And that's what this community is all about, is other people getting together and kind of finding others who get them, who
Mm.
get it as well.
Yeah, we're going to be a few of us meeting next week.
Indeed.
Yeah, up in
Yeah, of
Manchester. Yeah,
course.
we've
Yes,
got a face
actually,
to
yeah.
face. Yeah, in
We
Manchester, so that'd be
have,
nice.
yeah.
So
So we've got a group meet up next week in Manchester. A few
yeah,
of us getting together because do you know what when I sort of think back to that, that was when did we start? We started in May
24.
2024 with Andy Ramage. So
Yeah,
that's going to be, it's not far, not long until that's 2 years. That
yeah,
quick, that's gone so fast, hasn't it?
yeah. So that should be great fun, and yeah, looking forward to sharing a few alcohol-free
I
mocktails.
really am looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
me
wait.
too, me
Honestly,
too.
I'm
Be great.
really excited for that. I was saying
Be
to
great.
Chris how much fun that's going to be. So, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's what do you want to start off chatting about this week? Well, actually, why don't we start with that? Because obviously when we have our kind of no guest episodes, we just want to get on and have a bit of a chin wag. And yeah, so spring hopefully is
You're
just
making
round the
it sound,
corner.
Steve, like this is completely and utterly unprepared, and we
It
literally just
is.
get on and talk shit. Whereas we've
Yep.
got an entire army of researchers doing all of the preparation for the episodes for us,
It's
right?
my teleprompter just for a moment just froze there. That's why I had to. But thank you to my producer
You ad libbed
for,
it.
for fixing that for me.
Yeah, very slick
Yeah,
outfit. This.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the summer. I'm looking forward to the spring. But let's be honest, it for a lot of people, March, April comes around, spring coming into May, you get the first waft of cut grass, you get the barbecue coming over the fence. And for a lot of people, potentially have been alcohol free for a while or have kind of maybe started at the beginning of the year. That for me used to be quite the trigger.
Mm,
What about you? I think it's
mm.
that kind of
Do you know what? It actually, I never really thought about it in those terms until I started talking to people about alcohol free more regularly. That does come up very regularly,
mm, mm,
particularly people that we work with over the winter. They tend to sort of say after a few sessions, I'm a bit worried about the spring and beer gardens and all that kind of thing. And I hear that really often. But actually, it wasn't a thing for me in terms of my awareness, but definitely one behavior one thing I used to absolutely love doing was when it's warm, every night between about 5 and 7. I'd just go out and water the lawn, and
yeah.
obviously I would have a beer in my hand, and I'd be listening to music, and I'd just be getting pissed in the garden, singing loudly, and just do you know what I mean?
I've
uh,
got so many images right
yeah,
now.
honestly, I just did it all the time, and I used to find being outside in the garden. I used to sort of think, oh, I love doing the garden, and I guess I kind of actually no, I don't enjoy doing the garden because once I started drinking, I completely neglected the garden altogether. My wife would tell me this. I'd be like mowing the lawn, twice a week, doing all the flower beds, and just enjoying being outside in the garden. But it was just an excuse to drink
Yeah,
on my own
yeah,
because as soon as the alcohol went, the garden went to rack and ruin.
yeah. You've quite openly mentioned on this podcast that you were an avid Kylie fan. So which particular
What do you mean?
Kylie,
Sorry, what do you mean was?
or am or are,
Am
or
Kylie till I
an?
die, mate.
So which particular Kylie banger would your neighbours normally be hearing on a April evening when you're
Well,
watering the garden?
well, I mean, take your pick. I mean, where do you start? I mean, I'm being 50 years old. I mean, I take it you generally do want me to tell you about Kylie because I will do. And that
Not for too long.
so yeah, no, I'm very much a Kylie purist. I was there from the beginning when she was in Neighbours, and so, but I like all of it. I've seen her live loads of times, much to my wife's had to go through all that. She's probably seen Kylie about 5 or 6 times with me, and she's like, "Yes, okay, we'll go again."
Oh, really? Oh, no,
That's
okay. We can go off. We can go right off someone.
so.
Um,
Let me well, just as a
go
little
on.
digression then. So who's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure.
And don't just say you like all cool music and everything that's really.
No, I've been to some great gigs over the years. Some of the sort of ones that people would have kind of. I mean, I've yeah, let me probably to go to my guilty pleasures. I think some gigs I went to when I was younger, probably. I think my first ever gig was Five Star.
Oh, brilliant one. I thought I was going to top that, but
At the
that's brilliant. I used to love Five Star when I was
Five
about 10.
Star.
When I was 10 years old.
But yeah, I mean, music, I suppose, is very, it's each to their own choice. I don't think I've been to see any absolute howler gigs when I think
Uh,
embarrassing ones, particularly. I've got quite a good back
Five
catalogue of
Star's a
gigs,
really good
actually.
one. I really like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see. Honestly, I was obsessed with Five Star when I was about 10 years old. I think I actually wrote a love letter to Doris, who was one of Five Star. Yeah, yeah.
Did
That's what
she
you
come
do.
back to you?
No,
No, how funny.
that's what you do when you're 10
Um,
years old.
yeah, I mean, gig wise, but live music for me was always exactly linked with going out drinking.
Yeah, yeah.
My first,
Before we get
go
into
on.
that, can I
Yeah, go
just
on.
share who my first gig was?
Yes, please.
So 16 years old, Vanilla Ice at the Bournemouth International Centre.
Or what's his real name?
Robert Van Winkle, is that
Robert
right?
Van Winkle.
Yeah, yeah, he was
Yeah.
great. I fucking loved
Was
it.
he good?
But yeah, sorry, I just had to get that in before we moved away from first gigs.
Well, my first gig was Simple Minds at Wembley Stadium.
I thought you said it was Five Star.
No, my first proper gig. Well,
What's
can you class the Hexagon in Reading as a proper
yeah?
gig?
Well,
Okay,
it's the
well then
same as
my
the
first
Bournemouth
gig was
International Centre.
okay. Well, my first big gig, Wembley Stadium, Simple Minds, 1986.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can pretty much, and I
yeah,
wouldn't say I can top that, but I've got an equal. So mine was U2 at Wembley Stadium, and two
yeah.
weeks before I saw Prince at Wembley Stadium.
Was that Zoo TV tour?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
ZTV.
I
Yeah, yeah.
probably was there. I was there.
Yeah, yeah. I also saw them quite. I saw them at Slane Castle as well. So I don't know
Did
if
you?
anyone's watching the Traitors Island. So did you watch Traitors?
Not the Irish one. I haven't watched it now
Well, the
because
Irish
the
one. So
lady off
basically,
the pottery throwdown does my head in. I hate her.
oh, is that where
No
she's from?
offense if you're listening.
Yeah. Oh, she's probably not.
So I saw them also at the Zoo TV tour, but here's the thing, because you know I like to drop a little clanger, like I did about my appearance on Home and Away the other day. When I stepped out on my bartending, I used to do quite a lot of backstage gigs, and I actually worked at U2's Vertigo tour at Earl's Court, and I served the band numerous drinks most nights.
Stop.
There you do. Yeah, yeah, big fan. There you go.
What was Bono drinking?
I didn't actually serve Bono. I
Pint of
served,
Guinness,
I
please.
served, I, s- I
What am I
served
supposed
the
to do
edge.
with that?
I served the edge. I didn't
Is
serve Bono.
that a cocktail?
Yeah, served the Queen once as well.
Did you? What
Yeah,
was the
I
Queen
did.
drinking?
Raspberry mojito.
Really? Better stay
Yeah,
off the rules at the moment. It's a bit of a touchy subject.
it is a bit of a touchy subject. Well, yeah, yeah. Let's give that one a miss. Anyway, moving on. We go to
So we've gone on a complete digression there.
we were talking about barbecues in spring.
Yeah, yeah, we were. So I was telling you about how, like, I used to spend a lot of time in my garden drinking on my own and singing loudly to Kylie. And I used to think that was the summer, and I used to really enjoy that. But it was really just about the drinking,
Yeah,
because it went
yeah,
after. Oh, once I stopped cut out the drinking, I didn't really particularly want to be out in the garden anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, it didn't mean I was in the house all the time. Quite the opposite,
yeah,
I was out walking the dogs and out
yeah.
running and spent an awful lot of time outside in the forest, but
But
just not.
like anything, I mean, like anything, it's that association, isn't it? It's no different to that association with alcohol and Christmas and doing your first alcohol free, is it? So a lot of people coming through now, some of the people I'm coaching work their way through Christmas alcohol free, which arguably for most is probably the toughest time to do it. But it's just applying that same process. At the end of the day, the spring weather and the summer weather just becomes your cue, right? And
Yeah, you're exactly right.
it's just replacing that with a as you so often say, keep the ritual, change the ingredient.
I think as well, it also kind of keeps you stuck, or it definitely did for me, because it took me from about age 38 to 46 before I eventually went alcohol free, and I've spoken about it before, and I know that you know about it, that I was regularly taking sort of seasonal breaks, and I used to find it very not easy, but I used to find it easier to not drink through January, February, and March, because the weather's shit and no one's going out. You've just
Mm,
come off the back of Christmas where you've
mm,
drowned yourself in alcohol. But as soon as it would hit Easter, or as soon as the sun would come out and there'd be the first showings of spring, that would be it. I would then be drinking right through until September like a maniac,
mm,
because I'd taken 1, 2, or 3 months off, and I'd be like, right, I've earned this. It's the summer, because I couldn't in my head. I couldn't. I just couldn't see the summer not including alcohol. Whereas
Mm,
I could kind of do it January to March, but the
mm,
summer is like, oh, forget it. I can't, I can't go through the summer without
mm,
alcohol. And
mm,
then having then drunk through till September like a maniac all through the summer, where you're just like, oh, I need a break. I
mm,
could kind of take September, October, November off. And then December obviously was Christmas, so you got to drink at Christmas. And I couldn't get over that kind of mental block of can't have to drink in the summer, have to drink at Christmas. And I just kind of end up eventually just built this kind of seasonal alcohol diet almost where,
mm,
I was taking these 6 months off and then I was drinking for the other six. But like with any diet, once you've taken a bit of time off, you then overcompensate for the time when you allow yourself to have this thing that you think you want.
mm.
Whereas realistically, so it's kind of like a seasonal binging in a way. Whereas the reality is, I probably would, from a health point of view, I probably would have just been better just drinking steadily for the entire year. So,
Mm, mm,
but
mm,
again, it's the real kind of key to the log is challenging those limiting of beliefs of, well, actually, can I go a Christmas without drinking? Can I do a summer holiday without drinking? Can I go through the summer without drinking? And you're like, "Mm, I couldn't do that.
mm,
But you've not tried it. You've not actually tried it.
mm.
And then when you try it, you think, huh, actually, and you build new structures and you build new routines, build new habit loops, and actually over time it starts to, the old way disappears and the new way becomes your new thing, and it's a much healthier and happier one.
Yeah, yeah. I'd quite often have, when I first stopped drinking, I was still kind of full-time employment up in quite often kind of leaving London of an evening when we'd been out with work and they were having drinks and etc. And I would just take so much more pleasure in kind of walking back from wherever we had been, probably having, obviously of having alcohol free, but walking back and kind of plodding through the streets of London of an evening and just kind of taking it all in. And I think I kind of do a little bit more of that now. I look at the summer in a different way now. I know we had Rich on last week, but for me, from a running and for getting out, there's just so much more time in the day to do those kind of things now. So replacing the drinking with getting out in the evening and just you can get out on the bike until 10 o'clock in the evening in the middle of the summer. So it just opens up so many more opportunities because you've got so much more time in the day to do it. So it's actually, I look at it as a pretty decent time to be taking a break because you can fill your time with so much more because the weather's on your side and you don't
Yeah,
have to be
yeah.
kind of going, look, if I'm not going out this weekend, it's been miserable raining like it has been here, like we were just saying. So best part of 6 weeks, it seems like it's been raining. You're just going to get a bit miserable with it. Whereas actually, when you step away from it and you find something new to replace that desire to drink, I
Mm.
just feel the summers feel so much healthier now and so much strong.
It's
Yeah.
kind of boredom as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of people will relate to this. Is that alcohol's brilliant when you're bored and you've got nothing to do, you need to kill a few hours, and when you're locked in the house, stuck in the house because you can't go outside, because it's pissing down the whole time, and all you've got is the TV, and for a lot of people when they're watching TV, they're having a drink, and you've got the options for what you can do with yourself, are so much less. So in a
Mm,
way, people are drinking to kind of kill boredom,
mm,
and I kind of get that. But time's such an interesting one because Andy Ramish talks a lot about time and about how amazing it is that you get all this time back to do all these things that you want to do. And I used to sort of think that when I'm alcohol free, I'd have loads and loads of time. But the reality is, I haven't got any time. And the reason
mm,
is because there's so much I want to do, and I'm so bloody busy
mm,
because I've got that kind of drive and motivation there's so many things I want to do rather than just sit around and get pissed. So
mm,
you do get a lot of time back, but you absolutely fill it because you've got so much more energy, you've got so much more drive.
mm.
You're not in that kind of malaise of just like, oh, I can't be fucked. I'm just gonna sit on the couch and I've got a hangover today. I'm just gonna sit here for a few hours and
Yeah.
order a pizza and
Yeah.
watch James Bond film.
I do
That
get that quite a lot with people I work with, though. In the early stages, when that time comes back, it can feel quite unnerving
definitely.
because actually, it's if you've been drinking, and everybody's story behind alcohol is different, but if you've been drinking at home to fill boredom, and suddenly you take that away, then that boredom often gets turned up a notch, or you feel that you've got so much more space where you'd have normally been thinking, and in that moment to kind of replace it with grabbing a beer out the fridge, which is the easy option there, because it's that time. It's not just the time that you're sitting spending drinking; it's the time that you're actually sitting thinking about drinking and all the
Yeah, yeah.
all the negotiations in your head, or the upcoming event at the weekend, and who's going to drive, or how can I get home, and it's just, it takes up so much space. And I think, so for me, it was in those early days that it felt like getting so much more time, but
Mm.
over time now, the ability to fill that time with things that you love and things that you enjoy is just, it's gold. It's the biggest win you
Yeah.
can have.
Yeah. Well, time's,
Yeah,
time's the most precious thing we have, isn't it? But
yeah,
yeah, no, you're completely right. I think this is where, the whole piece around, moderation becomes problematic for people, is because, yeah, the more time you've got in your head to sit and think about, do deals with yourself about, I'll only drink on special occasions and all this kind of thing. And, what's a special occasion and what are the boundaries? And, you can just waste so much time in your own head and cognitive energy just negotiating with yourself. Whereas, it's just so much more straightforward just to make one decision, and
mm,
just go, you know what,
mm,
I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to take a break for a finite amount of time,
yeah,
run that as an experiment, and just take that question out of the equation. I'm going
yeah,
to take a month off, or I'm going to take 2 months off, I'm going to take 3 months off, however long it's going to be. Make that decision. Don't negotiate with yourself. Um, as soon as you do start to question it, you start to negotiate it, go and do something else. Go and run a bath. Go and cook something. Just go and do something different to break that cycle of thinking about it.
yeah,
Because your brain is just trying to pull you back to what it knows and where it sees safety.
yeah,
And recognizing that and taking a step back from yourself and realizing what's going on, putting that blocker in place and doing something different, going for a walk or, whatever it may be, and getting out of your own head. Because once you start going down that road, well, I've had 2 weeks off. I could have one. I've kind of earned that. As soon as you see yourself doing that, you've got to just
yeah,
step away from it.
yeah, yeah. It's that constant negotiation, and it just gets louder and louder. And it's just,
Yeah, and
step away for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. And I hear so often in people that I'm coaching, when that first starts, this kind of feeling of, what? Yeah, but I can't. I've tried before. I'm not. I'm rubbish at it. I'm rubbish at willpower. I'm rubbish at this. And it's, once you actually understand that what's going on in your brain is completely natural.
hmm
It's what your brain does. It's not you that's the problem. It's the noise in your head, and it's
yeah.
just a chemical reaction. That's all it is. It's a chemical reaction, and you can interrupt it. And once you start to understand that, that's where the real change happens. Because yeah, it's just that voice in your head, isn't it? Well, you know what? Yeah, like you said,
But
I've
we
had a couple of weeks. I'll just have the one because I've earned it.
but we
There's never
think that's
one.
just us. We
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
it's me. I am,
yeah.
but in a way, it's not you.
No,
You're right. It's chemicals. It is your subconscious trying to, because through your habits, it's your subconscious trying to move you back to what it knows and
mm,
what is familiar, because that's where that's where we feel safe. That's why our brain feels safe. And all these signals that you're getting, that you're telling yourself in your head of, oh, I could just have one because I've done 2 weeks. Oh, you know what? Da, 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 da. That is your subconscious moving you towards what it wants you to do.
There's
Because
a really good, there's a really, I can't remember the full part, but there's two questions of it I remember. I listened to Alcohol Lied to Me by Craig Beck on audiobook, and there's a really good experiment he does in that. And obviously, when you're reading the book, it's not necessarily going to work quite as well. He says, if you really want to test whether your subconscious has control over you, do me a favor. And he asks a series of about four questions. And he says, he said, first of all, try not to think of this answer. Right, go. What's 2 + 2? Okay, whatever you do, don't think about an elephant. And he does this experiment, and you
yeah,
just
yeah.
physically cannot stop yourself from thinking that. And that's exactly what's at play here. It's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just how we've evolved. Like we've spoken about it before. It's it's partly it's about our brains trying to keep us safe. Through
Hmm.
better the devil going through moving us towards where it feels the safety is. And the other thing is it's energy saving. It's basically we've evolved to save, to store calories. We don't we've it's only in the last 100 years that we've had food on tap, as it were. We have refrigeration, so we can go and help ourselves with food.
Hmm.
Calories are readily available,
Yeah.
whereas over the vast majority of the time that we've evolved, we found it very difficult just to get food to survive. So
Hmm.
we have to be able to store energy for the winter. And
Hmm.
our brains are energy saving devices, and that's exactly what habits are. They enable us to put things on autopilot, so we don't have to waste cognitive energy. And you know, and cognitively, I think about a third of our calories are used by our brain. It's not all physical movement. You know,
Mm,
you can burn like 500 calories sat on the couch, you know,
mm,
because it's what fuels us.
mm,
You know, and by our brain automating things to allow us to use our cognitive resources on other things like, I don't know, solving a puzzle or whatever it may be, or I don't know where that came from. I'm doing a puzzle at the moment. That's how exciting my life is now. I don't drink.
not at the
I
moment.
do jigsaw
You're
puzzles.
not currently doing a Rubik's cube as we're
No,
talking.
no, no,
No,
no.
right.
But the point is it's about our brains saving energy, and that's how
Hmm.
our habits work.
Yeah.
So when we have a craving for a drink, it is a habit loop. It's our brain trying to do something on automation. And if we allow it to do it on automation, we're going to go and get a drink. But being able
Mm,
to sort of step back and recognize what's going on. And this is where working with another person is so important because you just can't see it. It's very difficult to recognize this in
mm,
yourself because you think, well, it's
mm,
just me.
mm. Yeah, that's the
But you're
thing.
completely right. It's
Yeah, yeah.
understanding the neuroscience
Mm,
really is a game changer when it comes
mm.
to breaking any kind of habit, whether, you know, whether it's alcohol or vaping or whatever. It's,
Yeah, it's like getting that. It's like getting an operating manual for yourself, isn't it? It's
yeah.
this is, oh God, that's why it does this. That's why I do that. You know, we've talked about it many times on the pod, but sleep's the other one. We've never really kind of had a proper conversation around sleep, but we've spoken about it so much in passing on the pod. But yeah, I mean, I get from people I'm coaching, it can be often quite instantaneous for sleep to come back, and then other times it can be one of the slower things to kind of return. But what was your experience when you stopped drinking? How quickly did you really notice the improvements in your sleep?
Um, I'll be honest, I can't quite remember.
Right.
You know, being about 4.5 years ago, I can't remember the exact time, you know, but what I can say is obviously from working with a lot of people, I kind of see how it plays out and for a lot of people it's kind of some people it's like almost like a couple of days.
Yeah.
Other people it can be well into 6 weeks, two
Yeah.
months almost. And you know, this is where I think the traditional model of taking a month off. So for some people, they don't get those sleep benefits until a lot later.
Mm,
And the sleep benefits are, you
the
know,
best.
the best part of being alcohol free because the thing is if you've always drunk kind of, you know, even if it's modest amounts, but you've done it consistently over 10, 20 years, you just don't know what good sleep is like. You don't. You can say, well, I sleep fine. Yeah, you do. But compared to what? You've got no basis of comparison.
Mm,
And once you've got alcohol out of your system, and you know, and you're getting proper sleep, because you know I'm not showing off here, but when I look at my fitness tracker, my sports watch, I virtually never get less than 90% sleep score. Yeah, if I've been on a plane or something, I'm jet lagged different. I might occasionally get like an 88 or an 89, but I'm pretty much always getting 90 plus sleep scores on my Garmin,
mm,
night in, night out,
yeah.
because it's my sleep's completely regulated. But you know, you're right. It is the biggest thing. It is the biggest prize, the biggest gift that being alcohol free gives. And it always amazes me that, well, it doesn't amaze me, but it kind of shocks me a little bit how little people are aware of the impact of alcohol on sleep
Mm,
because their lived experience is always, well, I sort of sleep fine. You
mm,
know, such a small amount of alcohol can trash your sleep. You know, a glass of wine, a beer, that's all it takes. We're not talking about going out and having a skinful. And
yeah.
if you're having a glass of wine most nights or a beer most nights,
Yeah.
you're sleeping shit every
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really are.
My wife's having quite a bit of a pretty much has stepped away from alcohol since the turn of the year. She's still having the odd glass, but she
Yeah,
did
same for
pretty
Chris.
much, yeah. Like, and that's the thing she's reporting the most, and actually, but not saying, "Oh, my sleep is so much better." It's like we had some friends over for my birthday, and Joe had a couple of drinks that night, and she was like, "I just noticed so much more because." A
Hmm.
month had passed. My birthday's the 1st of February, in case you're wondering. Um, a month had passed, and one night of hitting the drinks, and she said, "Oh my God, I felt absolutely awful. I had such a
Mm.
rough night's sleep and everything else." And I think I got it quite quickly. For me, sleep came pretty quickly, and I take supplements for sleep as well. So I take magnesium, which really, really helps with your sleep as well. But I've always been someone who goes to bed late, and I still do. I'm sort of 11 o'clock at night when I go to bed, and I'm usually up by 6:30. But then I look at my sleep score, and I'm like, it's cracking. I've gone to bed
Mm.
late, but I've been asleep. I've been in either deep sleep or REM sleep for the majority of the time that I've been in bed, and I wake up at 6:30 ready to go and feeling refreshed. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge, and I think it's just for me, it's the biggest win. It's the biggest.
It's the biggest win because it has so many other things that
Yeah,
cascade down from it.
yeah.
One of the things actually that a lot of people don't realize, and this is where people get stuck in a loop with taking a break from alcohol, is that if you are underslept, it impacts your willpower. So you
Mm,
if you're not sleeping well, you're going to have lower levels of willpower.
yeah.
So automatically you're making it hard. So it becomes cyclical. So
Mm,
if you're taking a break from the booze and you've got, some days behind you and your sleep's starting to regulate, your willpower is going to be stronger. Whereas if you're sleeping kind of shit all the time, you're going to find it so much harder.
mm,
Um,
mm.
so that's something I found quite fascinating. But what you were talking about there, with your wife, same for mine. Chris is exactly the same.
Yeah.
She drinks pretty much the same, very rarely, once, a glass of wine every couple of months if she's out with the girls. But now in advance, she'll be like, I don't really want to have a drink because I don't want to write off tomorrow. I don't want to feel shit. And
Mm,
it's just so hyper aware. And that really is the key to it is awareness, is knowing what you're trading
yeah.
and being able to make that decision. And that's how through so I think people perceive going alcohol free as being, well, I don't want to go alcohol free forever, and that's fine. But in order to reduce the desire to drink, you need to have those data points where you know exactly what's going to happen the next day. And I don't mean like, oh, if I drink 6 pints, I'm going to have a hangover, I'm going to feel like shit. But just knowing the impact it's going to have on your sleep and all these things, and that's how you get control of alcohol back. If you don't want to go alcohol free, that's fine. But if you want to get
Yeah.
control of alcohol back, that's how you do it. You have that long
Yeah.
break and you regulate your systems, and then you can very clearly see what the differences are because
Mm,
when you do drink and when you don't, and then you can make an educated decision on what you want
yeah.
to do, and that's how you get control of alcohol back. Simple as that.
That's it. Yeah.
It has to come from a long break, I think.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
But yeah,
Awesome.
no, sleep's such a big one. I think it because it also affects your diet, your diet as well, what you want to eat. If you're underslept, you tend to want to eat carbs in the
Mm,
morning because you're looking for calories. Obviously, your exercise is shit if you're underslept. Mental health, a huge one. So
mm,
sleep, you've got those sort of four pillars of health and wellness, of which sleep is one, but they're all interconnected and they're all tied together.
mm,
Um, and alcohol is just weakening all of them,
yeah.
through sleep. And sorry to sort of labour the point so much, but the other thing I think people miss is the impact that it has on mental resilience, and our mental health. Because when you're not getting into REM and deep sleep, which is what alcohol prevents us doing, you're not able to deal with a lot of the problems that have happened the previous day that your subconscious mind will deal with during REM sleep. So
Mm.
when you're asleep, it's basically cleaning up. I heard I was listening to Brian Johnson. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was talking about sleep.
Not
And
from AC/DC, no.
no, 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 no. This is the guy who's trying to live forever. I think this guy's
Oh yes, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's Netflix
Yeah, you were telling
documentary
me about
about
him
him.
last week.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely brilliant. Some people
Yeah.
think he's an absolute weirdo, but he's basically aging at like half a year every year.
Mm,
And his metrics are just, I won't bore you with it now, but anyway, he was making the point, he made the analogy that sleep is the most important thing for health, bar none, sits above everything else.
yeah,
He used this analogy that what is happening when you go to sleep is effectively a garbage truck is kind of driving around your body and cleaning up all the shit from the previous day.
yeah.
And that happens in REM sleep. And he said, if you're not getting enough REM sleep, that garbage truck that's cleaning up all the crap from the previous day is not showing up. And you can't just catch up at the weekend and think, oh, I've had like 4 or 5 hours sleep every night during the week. I'll catch up at the weekend. It doesn't work like that. Once the garbage truck's been and gone, it's not coming back.
Yep.
But you can't catch up yet. So it's all about regularity. Regular good sleep. Garbage truck shows up, cleans up all of the shit in your brain and your body.
Mm.
Or the office cleaner, however you want to look at
I've
the
heard it
analogy.
was a messy desk. Everything's a
Yeah,
bit messy on your desk, and when you go to sleep, it's tidied up and put in filing cabinets and
yeah,
stored
yeah.
away
It's
properly.
exactly
And
the
you come
same.
back and you've got a clean desk, which
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
explain the state of my desk that I'm sitting at right now, which is an absolute shit tip. But there we go.
Mine's not. I'm a bit funny about mine. Mine's everything like lined up, set square, perfect.
Yeah,
But but yeah, it. I just think we kind of grew up in a time in the 80s and stuff where sleeping was for wimps, and
yeah,
we
yeah.
we do
I'll sleep
naturally.
when I'm dead.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, but we kind of do still give a lot of credence to in a professional, particularly in a professional capacity, people who work really late,
Mm,
and they'll be working till 11 and then get up early the next day and all that kind of thing. But you've got to get sleep right. You
yeah,
absolutely have to get
yeah,
sleep
yeah,
right.
yeah. On my and God, hospitality, my previous career, back,
Oh God, yeah.
I dread to think. I dread to think at the height of my drinking what it was like because it would have been working. Back in my London days, that was working till midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning by the time we'd cleaned down the bar and carried everything out. And then we would go out and it would be 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, home, grab an hour, grab a shower, get to work, get a Bloody Mary, get back to start back on shift. It was just like for years, for years.
Mm,
How I was even alive? I don't know. How
yeah,
are you functioning?
it's tough, isn't it?
Mm,
But you get used to your level,
yeah,
I suppose, and
yeah,
that's what you know. That's your
yeah,
benchmark. That's the level that you're at in terms of what you're used to functioning at.
yeah.
But it's like if you're drinking most nights, or, and you've always got that kind of low level hangover. Let's say you're drinking 4 beers a night, 4 or 5 beers a
Mm,
night, which is kind of what I used to do. I'd never really be hungover, but I'd
no,
still always be operating at this kind of low level malaise where I had low energy and low motivation. I wasn't hungover, but that was just my level.
yep,
And
yep,
you don't really kind of question that. You don't really notice how low that level is
no,
until you've got the data of clearing it all out for a month or two and seeing what the difference is.
yeah,
And and that's where I just don't think a month is often enough. I think that's
no,
where going further makes, because it just grows and builds day after day after day, and the further away you get from your old habits, the further the more of a distant memory they become, and then this new revitalized you starts to grow
mm,
and flourish, and you're like, I'm not trading this for that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just poor comparison of your best self.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, if you wanna, if you want great sleep, you know what to do.
I think just before we
Go on.
start to wrap up, just one other point on this as well. I think what's really key is that alcohol is almost like something that it's something that impacts all of these pillars of good health, of which of which sleep is one, which diet's one, exercise, mental health. And when you take alcohol away, all four of those pillars just flourish,
And feed off each other.
and they feed off it completely. They all completely interact with other. If you talk about sleep, like I said a moment ago, it's completely connected to the other three pillars, and alcohol is the thing. It's the big domino. It's the
Mm,
it's the thing that is holding all of these other things back.
mm,
It's not just about alcohol in isolation. It's about the impact it has on all of these other pillars of your life, of wellness, of longevity. It's just so important. It's not just a glass of wine in the evening after work. It's not just a
no,
beer. It's the
no.
knock-on effect on all these other things.
Good stuff.
Sorry, I feel like I rambled on a little bit there, but
It's,
we
no,
both
it's
get
good.
quite passionate about this.
No,
That's
none
the
more
point of the
passionate
show,
than you
though.
when it comes. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to sleep, we could. I think we probably could do an entire episode on it, but I also think we have done an entire episode on it, split across our time, because I think it's an area we want to talk about so much, and it is, you know, I do have quite a lot of people come to me saying, when they start out on coaching, that actually the reason they've been drinking is to help them sleep, and that's really, that really worries me. That's
Mm.
that's a huge thing to. It's a huge myth.
It could not be
I was
more
guilty of it. I
wrong.
would always on long haul flight. I'd be like, oh, I'll have a little mini bottle of red. That'll put me to sleep. And then what do? You wake up and the other end, and you
Sedation.
think you've slept, and you wake up, and then you've got jet lag to add to it, and you feel like absolute shite.
Mm.
So
Sedation, not sleep.
sedation,
It's the
yeah,
difference.
yeah,
I think I mentioned it once in this pod before, but whenever we used to go to Abu Dhabi quite a lot because my wife used to work for Etihad, and and actually I was in America, and whilst Americans, whenever we go to the States, I always used to have this sort of strategy on planes where I'd harvest as much alcohol as I could. You know, and I'd save it all up, and then I'd literally just like hit it in about half an hour. You know, I'd be like, "Oh, can I have another beer?" Actually, I don't open it. I'll have it in a second, and but take a few little bottles of wine on and stuff, and then I'd kind of get this little 4 or 5 beers, however, go up to a different stewardess and sort of steward and sort of say, "Oh, can I have do you mind if I get one more beer? And one for my wife as well, if at all possible." And you're basically just harvesting them throughout the plane, and I'd kind of keep them ready, and then I'd be like, "Right, okay, smash these in about the next half an hour, and then I'm going to be
Yeah,
nicely toasted for
sedated.
the rest of the flight."
Exactly. Exactly. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we've got some new guests coming up in the coming weeks. We hope.
Mm.
Some we hope, some we know.
So yeah, we've got a few lined up. We're not going to share
Yeah.
anything yet, just in case
Uh,
they
yeah.
don't come. But yeah, we've got a few we're quite excited about. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good. Good. Good.
watch this space. We've got one next week. It's going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah. We'll be fastly approaching our 1 year anniversary before you know
oh
it. You
my
know that.
God.
Yeah.
I think for that one we should hire the podcast studio at Brewdog in Waterloo and go and do like
Yeah.
a live proper one.
That would be great.
Um
That would be great. We'll
we
look
have to
into that.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who can we get
yeah.
as a guest?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one actually. Yeah. I've
So
already got
much I want to say, but I'm not going to say
I've
it.
already got somebody in mind for that. Good stuff. All right.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Have a
Awesome.
great
Well,
week,
listen,
mate.
yeah, catch up with you next week and have a good one. I'll see you next week as well.
Take care. See you
Take
later.
care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.